So I've tried to record this video a few times now, and it's never going as quick as I want it to. So I'm going to keep this video under 5 minutes, so you guys can know and appreciate and understand if you can still play this game in 2021, and we can leave it at that, and you guys can go download it and play it, etc. So here goes. I've got a handful of bullet points. I'm not going to edit this video that much, and we're just going to blast through these things because I need to go and play Valorant. Okay, so here goes. There are a handful of points: agents, maps, gameplay, the player base, and the developers. Really quickly, can you still play Valorant in 2021? The answer is yes. It is an unobstructed yes. It is a yes with flying colors. This game is excellent. It is balanced fairly. I mean, I get into this in a little bit, in like maybe the 3rd minute, but it is balanced fairly. The agents are fun, the maps are good, the player base is learning, but is still reasonably kind and nice to newcomers, and the developers are really keen on knowing what Valorant is, and they're getting a really good sense of feeling for what the game is on its own, in its own little world, and it is lovely to see. So, first thing, agents. If that's all you needed, by the way, to go play the game, end the video now, go play it. But agents. When the beta first came out, there was a handful of agents, and it felt very stressful to pick agents because you really felt like you needed to know who you were picking and for what reason, right? You need to know the spots for arrows, the spots for poison darts, and all of these different things. Thankfully, right now, with so much more variety, you don't need to know all of these things. You can have gaps in your skill set and still play an agent. Because there's more agents now as well, you never really get into a scenario where you feel like, oh no, they picked my agent. You might have a preference, but most people learn to play 2, 3, 4 agents. So you always feel kind of at ease with the fact of, okay, well, someone picked Sova or someone picked my Jet or Viper. That's fine, I've still got Brim or Breach or Phoenix to play. You know what I mean? Like, you still feel like you've got options. This runs across maps as well. When the game first came out, there was 3 maps, all excellent maps in my opinion, and then they introduced Ascent. Now for me, right now, Ascent is the best map on the game. I could play that map all day. It is exceptional. At first, people didn't really like it. I feel like the community has grown to love that map. It is definitely one of the stronger maps. It is one of the more enjoyable maps to watch at a pro level, in my opinion. And it plays very well. No agent feels out of place on any single map, in my opinion. It always feels really tightly tuned, and it's interesting to spot something. That is Icebox, the next map. The interesting thing to spot here is this happens in almost every game. Whenever a new map comes out in a shooter, the pro players or, you know, content creators will say something about an agent or a map or whatever it may be, and really quickly what you'll find is that filters down into the community, and whenever someone has a bad game on it, they will say, oh god, yeah, I hate this map. And right now that kind of happens with Icebox. I wasn't familiar with any of the issues with Icebox, and I went into it and I enjoyed it. And I still enjoy it to this day. I think it's a fine map. None of the problems that pro players have with it I experience, because I'm not a pro player and neither are you, most likely. So when you're in a solo game or a duo queue, you're going to run into scenarios where people are going to complain about something, but it's usually just they've lost a gunfight or they just didn't expect something or they couldn't foresee something happening. It's not because of some, you know, dev issue or a map design issue or an agent design issue. It's usually just down to them. Right now, I think all of the agents are reasonably fine. I think a vast majority of the agents are fine. I think some agents have got some minor issues, Reyna being one of them. Her ability to not be traded is really problematic, I believe. Maps, I think all of the maps are fine. Icebox, if you've got issues with it, whatever, it's still playable. It's completely fine, especially if you've never played Valorant before. You're not going to notice all of these nitty-gritty issues. So you've got a ton of agent selection, a ton of map choice. They bring maps out slowly, but this is a good thing. They bring maps out slowly because they don't want you to get too bogged down with learning 20 maps that are all mediocrely designed. Instead, you've got 5 solidly designed maps. Refined gameplay. Okay, so the gameplay obviously over time gets refined with buffs and nerfs, balances to maps and agents, especially with new agents coming out. To me, having taken a break from Valorant and playing it from beta, playing it through a little bit in a couple of months, and then again taking a break and then coming back to it a month or so ago or 2 months ago, the game feels more refined and better. Like, it just feels better, everything about it. And that leads me into one of my penultimate points, and we're absolutely going to go over 5 minutes very briefly. The player base is more knowledgeable. The player base just understands, right? And this is conjoining everything I've said together. People understand maps, they understand their agent selections, they like what they're picking and they like what they're doing. So the player base feels a lot more at ease, a lot more comfort. With that comfort comes issues though. People, let's say their best agent is Sova. You get into a game and you're playing a certain site or you're playing a certain area of the map. You're playing fine, but your team are kind of sucking, kind of losing a little bit. What's really familiar to me now is that people give up very quickly in this game. I play at a plat to diamond level upon return. I do want to get to like high diamond immortal level, like next season. But it's really, really, really interesting to see how many players will lose a first round pistol fight and then be like, it's over, never mind. Screw it, let's surrender. And you'll lose round 2, which by the way, statistically is supposed to happen. If you lose round 1, you're supposed to lose round 2, really. And people are like, well, we're 2-0 down, it's basically over. Like, no, my guy, it's up to 13, we good. Like, focus on your economy, focus on your team dynamics. This to me is something that's really strange. It's not something I've personally experienced that much in other games, but maybe this is just around the area I'm at. Coming back to the game, I'm in a like plat 3 to D2 elo range, so a diamond 2 elo range, so it's kind of problematic for me, but maybe not for you if you're playing at a lower level or a higher level. Maybe you come into it and you're an absolute beast. So yeah, the devs are doing great things with the game. They're really getting a sense of what Valorant is, and I like that. I said in one of my early videos that the developers seem genuinely passionate about this project. They seem really, really set on the idea that they are working on this for 10 years and it's going to be exceptional. Everything that's coming out, including the new agent in a couple of days, it feels all really moving in the right direction. So to answer the question again, can you still play Valorant in 2021? The answer is absolutely, unobstructedly yes. Get into this game now, you won't feel out of your depth. Maybe you will at first couple of days, but the second you start picking an agent, playing a few maps, maybe play with friends, yeah, you'll start to feel it. The only single last thing I will mention is use your microphone. Use your microphone. Anyone that plays with me right now might be laughing, because there is one thing that infuriates me on ranked gameplays, or ranked gameplay, or playing competitive, or rated, whatever you want to call it. It's when people don't communicate with their team. This is a really basic thing. This is a game that requires communication. Unless you're an absolute beast, right, and you're a pro player and you can just understand and read the map and know what everyone's doing, turn your mic on, because you ain't that guy or girl. So yes, go play Valorant in 2021. It's exactly what I'm going to do right now. This hasn't been 5 minutes, but I hope it was informative and a good little summary of if you should play the game or not. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Valorant's always such a lovely game for me to come back to, because I genuinely feel like it's going to be in my life for the next 10 years. So I'm super, super happy about it. I will see you guys in the next video, like I said. But other than that, enjoy everything, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the comments.